buddy Michael in Woodstock, Georgia. Hey, Michael, what's on your mind? It says here you disagree with me.
Hey, Tom, I'm a big fan of your show, and I love your books, and I'm a big fan of you in general. But I couldn't disagree with you more on the fact that Trayvon Martin had a right to stand his ground because he was not being aggressed upon. If you feel I'm following you, you don't have the right to come and punch me in the face, buddy, and you ought to know better than that.
How do you know that's the case?
I know the case that you do not have the right to come and punch me in the face if you think I'm following you.
Well, he didn't just follow him, he confronted him. If you follow me and you confront me in a stand your ground state, I have the right to stand my ground. And if I believe, let me finish my sentence here, Michael, and I'll give you all the time you want. If I believe that you're following me and you're confronting me, physically confronting me, if I believe it, whether it's real or not, if I believe it, that it represents a threat to that it represents the possibility of great bodily harm to me, I have the right to shoot and kill you.
You also have to prove that in court, that he represented a threat.
No, you don't.
Confront him, he talked to him.
No, you don't.
Punch him, he didn't initiate the...
Michael, you are wrong. Let me read you the jury instructions, and you see if you can tell me that again, okay?
Well,
here's the actual...
Tom, read me the testimony where it says he threatened Trayvon Martin. I'm sorry.
There is no disputing the fact that these two men came into contact with each other.
A fight.
There is no disputing the fact that these two men came into contact with each other. Had Trayvon Martin survived, and had he asserted that he felt threatened, and by the way, he had every right to because he ended up dead. Had he asserted that he felt threatened, he would have been justified. Let me just read you the jury instruction, and you can see how what you're saying is bass backwards. It's the opposite of what actually happened. Or what is at law. Here's the jury instruction. In deciding whether George Zimmerman was justified in the use of deadly force, you must judge him by the circumstances by which he was surrounded at the time the force was used. The danger facing George Zimmerman need not have been actual. In other words, if we were saying Trayvon Martin instead, because if he was alive and George Zimmerman was dead, we'd be saying the danger facing Trayvon Martin need not have been actual. However, to justify the use of deadly force, the appearance of danger must have been so real that a reasonably cautious and prudent person under the same circumstances would have believed that the danger could be avoided only through the use of that force. Based upon appearances, George Zimmerman must have actually believed that the danger was real. Now, Trayvon Martin had every reason to believe that danger was real, and the proof of that is that he ended up dead. The jury instructions continue. If George Zimmerman was not engaged in an unlawful activity and was attacked in any place where he had a right to be, and both of them had the right to be there, he had no duty to retreat, and he had the right to stand his ground and meet force with force, including deadly force, if he had reasonably believed that it was necessary to do so to prevent death or great bodily harm to himself or another, or to prevent the commission of a forcible felony.
I understand, but one question back to you is, when was that introduced in evidence in court by the prosecution?
From the very beginning.
Was there ever anything introduced that indicated that Trayvon Martin, who we couldn't know how he felt anyway, had reason to believe he was being aggressed upon?
That was not introduced into evidence because Trayvon Martin was not who was being tried. It was George Zimmerman who was being tried.
Okay, we can agree to disagree on that. One last thing is, if I hear anybody mention Skittles again, I'll throw up. They were not for Trayvon Martin. He was bringing Skittles to a child.
Okay.
They weren't Trayvon Martin Skittles, and it's used all the time to indicate that he was just a poor child. They weren't his Skittles. If he'd have had a pack of smokes in his pocket, it wouldn't have been any different.
How does that have anything to do with anything?
Well, I keep hearing it all the time on TV about this poor child with a pack of Skittles.
Right.
Like he was a child. He's had the Skittles.
Well, he was 17 years old, and he was armed with a pack of Skittles and a can of iced tea. Now, the iced tea, I can see, could be a little bit more of a weapon than a bag of Skittles. But I think the point is that neither one of those things was a gun.
The Skittles are being used to point out he was a child, and they weren't his Skittles. Period.
You don't think 17-year-old is a child?
I don't think the Skittles reference makes any difference. It's inflammatory and distracting.
17 years old. He's not old enough to vote. He's not old enough to vote. He's not old enough to drink. He's a child.
They weren't his Skittles, Tom. Let's leave Skittles out of it.
I don't see what difference that makes. Did he buy
Well,
those
just tell
Skittles?
everybody to stop saying it. Of course, it makes a difference.
Did he
That's why
buy? Did
everybody
he
talks
buy
about
those
it.
Skittles, Michael?
He bought the Skittles for his little soon-to-be nephew, stepbrother,
Okay.
if they were going to get married.
Okay. So
Skittles
not
are
only
irrelevant.
is he a young
Let's at least
person
agree
who's
on
like
that.
he was doing a favor for a little kid. I mean, that makes him an even more sympathetic character.
It doesn't make him a child because he had Skittles. I just think it's being used the wrong way.
Okay.
But
All right.
I
Your
still like your
objections
show.
on the record, Mike. Michael, I get it.